Okay, we're gonna call, this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the July 8th, 2024 Auburn City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Present.
Amara.
Present.
Holmes.
Here.
Sierra Salmons. Present. And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Here. Councilwoman Amara, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along to the mayor's commendations, proclamations, and acknowledgements. We do have one proclamation for today. We have in the room for the Arabian Horse Day. Yeah. Okay, come on up. Oh, I'm gonna grab a pen so I can sign it. Hold on one second. What am I doing? Okay. All right, here. Hello, welcome. We're gonna read out the proclamation and then you can say a few words if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
So Councilwoman Dowden Calvillo, I think you have the beginning.
Sure do. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
We were just checking to see when the Tevis was, so.
Oh, sorry, I turned it on, turned it off again. So Madam Mayor, before I read my little section, I just want to say as a family member, we owned an Arabian horse ranch. So I think this is very appropriate. I appreciate that. So in any event, here we go. Whereas the Arabian horse breed goes back thousands of years, the horse's striking beauty and even temperament have made them a popular breeding horse throughout the ages. The Arabian horse is known for its distinctive features, such as their endurance, intelligence, unique head shape, and big, prominent eyes.
Whereas Arabian horses hold significant cultural importance in many societies around the world. They have been featured prominently in art, literature, folklore, symbolizing nobility, grace, and freedom. Their influence can be seen in the mythology of ancient civilizations, as well as in modern day events such as the Arabian horse shows and festivals.
And whereas Arabian horses, known for their suitability for long distance trail competitions, have earned global recognition for their contributions to endurance riding. These horses, capable of traversing long distances over challenging terrain in intense heat, have left an indelible mark on the sport.
Whereas Arabian horses have played a significant role in Western states trail ride, commonly referred to as the Tevis Cup Ride, which concludes in the city of Auburn.
Whereas Arabian horses are truly remarkable, they have made a lasting impact on many equestrian activities and continue to be admired for their versatility and lively nature. They have a rich history, unique traits, and lasting legacy. Now, therefore, I, Rachel Riddell Harris, Mayor of Auburn, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim July 13th, which is coming up soon, not today, as Arabian Horse Day. Thank you very much. As a daughter of someone who rode Arabian horses all her life and always had one in her yard, I was really excited about this one. And we always love the Tevis Cup. So it's nice how it incorporates.
This has been driven by the Motherlode Arabian Horse Association. We're one of the smaller groups. And our intent is to pull together all the very many clubs that are in the area and make more of a cohesive team type spirit in educating people about the Arabian horse and making more opportunities available for our youth. A lot of the members of our existing clubs are aging out and we need to bring in new blood. And we are trying to make more opportunities available to them by teaching the community as a whole. And we very much appreciate you presenting us with this ability to do this once a year by bringing people in.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. There you are.
Thanks.
Yes. We were very active in Motherlode Arabian Horse Association when I was growing up, and I was like I was a junior High Point winner one year for endurance. So that anyway, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. This is time set aside for the council members and or the public to ask for removal, postponement, or change of the listed sequence of agenda items. The agenda will be approved on a consensus of the council. Without objection, I will have the agenda be adopted. Okay. Oh. It's, you're next. The next one. So is there anyone who wants to change the order of the agenda?
Yes,
Councilman Holmes?
I'd like to pull item.
Nope, we're not on consent yet. This is just the order of the agenda. Hold on one second.
Oh,
Is there any public comment on that? Okay. Then without objection, the agenda is adopted. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. This is the one. Hold on one second. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved in one blanket motion with a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless persons request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and separate action. Any items removed will be considered after the motion has been approved, has a motion to approve the consent calendar. Council, are there any items that you would like to remove from the consent calendar?
yes.
Yes, Councilman Holmes.
Item 6.
Item 6. Okay. Any other items from the council? Okay. From the public? Okay. Item number 9 will also be removed from the consent calendar. Are there any other items? Okay. Is there any public comment on the remaining items on the consent calendar? Okay. Seeing none, I move to approve the consent calendar as amended, removing items 6 and 9.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara,
Yes.
Holmes,
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, authorization to accept funds from the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control Policy Policing Partnership Grant Program. Chief's making his way up. Councilman Holmes, I'll let you ask your question.
Well, I'll wait till he gets
Yeah.
up here.
You're on, you're on.
Okay, my question is, how many ABC licensees do we have in Auburn?
Well, good evening, City Council. Ryan Canander, Chief of Police. Sir, your question is how many ABC licenses do we have in the city of Auburn? Off the top of my head, I do not know. We did some research before and we were upwards to the area of 90 different ABC licenses. And without going into a whole lot of detail with ABC, alcohol beverage control, there's actually a number of different types of license. Things like a liquor store can sell based on what their license. When we have special events, that's a one-day liquor license. So there's a lot and there's a lot of different types.
And we're not just talking about bars that serve drinks. So it's other places that sell.
So the idea with the ABC grant is running enforcement and operations outside of our normal business hours and our business duties for employees. And they're going to go and check at different bars, make sure that they're following the rules and abiding by their license, making sure that our liquor stores and convenience stores are selling by and adhering to their license as well. So no selling to minors, no, there's operations where kids will shoulder tap somebody and say, hey, can you go buy me something? And here's the money. And so those are the different types of operations that we're able to do with this grant funding.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the council? Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back.
Madam Mayor, I'll move that we, by resolution, authorize the receipt of funds from the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, Alcohol Policing Partnership Grant Program in the amount of $37,376 to conduct directed overtime for ABC licensee inspections, undercover enforcement operations, training, education, and community outreach.
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara,
Yes.
Holmes,
Aye.
Sierra Sammons.
Aye.
And Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye, motion carries. Wow. Mara's excited about it.
Really, really excited.
Speed meeting.
All right, item number 9, we're gonna bring up, is it Baron Pierce? Is that you, Jonathan? Okay, come on up. a member of the public wanted to pull it. So do you want to, I think it maybe come up and ask your question, or did you want a summary of what it is? I guess, come on up to the microphone.
I haven't read it through.
Then you have the microphone so that way the people can, because we record it. Thank you.
So recently, actually for like the last 20 years, Placer County Transportation Planning Agency has been working on a active transportation plan. They had their first big publication back in 2011, and the most recent is 2018. It is really thick. They've done a lot of tremendous work about identifying appropriate routes for pedestrians and bicycle traffic, as you know, along with the motorized traffic. So I read with interest when I saw this on the agenda and saw Fears and Fair and Peers doing this project. Presently, the active transportation planning group with Placer County has kicked off. They're using this template and the most recent work by Kittleson to actually go in and implement some more road signs and recognizing certain bicycle routes, improving the pedestrian ways, looking at how to better design roundabouts. What concerned me was I didn't see a whole lot of linkage between Auburn's participation in this plan with the rest of the community. I know that Rockland and Roseville and I think Loomis and maybe some others had their own plans going, but there's 20 different government agencies represented on this active transportation plan, along with stakeholders. I'm representing Sierra Foothills Cycling Club. So I looked at the project schedule and I noticed that the pedestrian and bicycle activity is way out in the first half of 2025. And the current plans with the active transportation planning group is to actually start implementing some of those changes. My curiosity is, how do we get involved with Fairs Peers as they're going through this, so that when we're looking at grants for the painting of better bikeways and improving the roundabouts, I know that you're looking at traffic patterns to make Auburn more attractive from the highway and everything else, but we are also with the Auburn Trails Alliance interested in making the Auburn community bicycle and pedestrian safe. So our club has 314 members. There's many other bicycle clubs in the area. So again, my only concern was, how do we make sure that the stakeholder groups includes groups like the Sierra Foothills Cycling Club, the Auburn Trails Group. I noticed that Natalie Hampton from the City of Auburn Transit showed up as one of the stakeholders for that meeting. So again, I just want this to be cohesive, not a lot of wasted money. We leverage our efforts to, empower the granting. And also we work very closely with the Department of Public Works here in Placer County in the Auburn area. They've been awesome. We've got new signage up on Meadow Vista. We've got some new painting of separate roadways or bikeways. Again, so we just want to just be levers, all these activities going on and make it happen. If you're going to spend up to $755,000, the thing that I want to do in my role as a stakeholder in these other groups is make sure they take action. Okay, 2011, 2018, they've done all the documentation, great work, good ideas. It's time to get something done.
Sir, would you like to identify yourself for the record?
I'm Bob Peterson, a resident of Auburn since 1988. Currently a candidate for the Endurance Capital Committee. Really
Perfect.
excited about that opportunity, as well as my participation as a cycling club.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may address that, Jonathan Wright, Community and Economic Development Director. Good evening, council members. So this is just the beginning of a long process. We have been in touch with Corey Peterson of PCTPA. He's the one doing their active transportation plan for the rest of the county. Some of the cities, like he explained, have done their own plans, kind of like we're doing. So we are coordinating with them just the way that those other communities did in advance. As far as public outreach, you look at the cost priorities within that budget, and there's a lot of money in there for public outreach. So that's going to be one of the main components. And of course, all the way along with this in this process has been Kelly Davidson. So, that's kind of our local go-to, but I'm happy to bring in more people and have kind of this ad hoc stakeholder group. One of the things I was really clear on in the RFP was that we're looking street safety is paramount. But the active transportation plan the language was very heavy towards bike and ped. Because we understand the priorities of the council, we understand the priorities of the community. So we want to make sure that those align. I was aware of the older plan. I know they're doing an update right now. They had some funding set aside for Auburn, but it was tens of thousands of dollars and we're investing hundreds of thousands. He mentioned something about and by the way, through a grant, it's a federal grant, Safe Streets for All. And so it's money that's being brought into the community to be spent on the community and not necessarily spending our general fund dollars. You did say something about the total amount within the contract. I want to be clear that 500,000 is going towards the Safe Streets or the two studies, the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan and the Active Transportation Plan. We're doing an amendment to an existing contract, which was the existing contract for the Wayfinding Master Plan. So we're expanding that. So not all of those dollars are going there. There's two different projects that are under that one agreement. So I just make sure that's clear because we're tracking those, but it looks a little blurry when you put those things together. So, and I'm happy to get your information and make sure you're a part of it.
Jonathan, one quick question. You said that other cities have been doing this for a little while and have plans in place. Would it be safe to say, like most things that Auburn's working on for planning, that we're behind on this and we've got some catching up to do in order to be able to really be able to work together with the other communities that are involved in this kind of planning?
All I can say is that I know that they've started their process before us.
Yeah. So,
because we're using the same agreement with PCTPAs that they had.
and we don't
already
have
done
any
that.
kind of previous pedestrian planning or bike planning that
We do, but it's older.
nothing that we could use right now, probably.
It's difficult.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
It's pretty old. It's not very specific. It lines out different types of bike lanes and things that are appropriate, but this is going to be much more comprehensive, looking at our street sizes and actually trying to fit all modes of transportation within that right of way or finding alternatives that make sense.
What we can actually do and how we could actually do it.
Right.
Okay, great.
So I'm confused in all these studies we're doing. Okay, now my understanding is we've already started a circulation study. How is that different? Or can you explain that to me?
They all kind of dovetail into one another. This is going to provide a lot more data that'll bolster that circulation element. It'll also help us offset some of our costs. The city engineer was the one that started this, and the idea was to try to get that data going through this analysis so that we could then use that analysis to offset the cost for the circulation planning. So there's two birds, one stone. Circulation planning is going to talk about where people go, how we get growth into town, like the different sizes of the streets, where things need to be, different classifications, policies that'll be put in there, but they're very high level policies. When you get down to this type of an analysis, it's ever going to be very specific to the streets and the things that need to be done.
So to answer Mr. Peterson's question and mine, the circulation study can't be implemented then because now it's going to be a part of this other study that we're doing with, in other words, we can't start any of the bike lanes or any of the components that comes out in the circulation study.
This project's going to be about 1.5 years to complete. Now, doesn't mean you can't start other projects. It just means that without this data, you're doing it on your own.
And the circulation study isn't done yet. I mean, that's still underway. That's part of our.
I
Circulation.
thought it was close to being done.
It's part of
Yeah.
the general plan update.
Right.
So it's all one big thing. When we go to the planning commission with the general plan update, it's a new general plan document that goes,
It'll be
I'll make a recommendation to council and it comes to council. So it's all one thing. We can't approve circulation element without looking at the impacts of the circulation element on land use element and on the natural, all that stuff. They all have to work together. It's one big document.
Okay.
This is something that kind of goes underneath that and implements the higher level priorities and policies of the circulation element itself.
So
The thing that's interesting to me about the comment that Bob made is if we're doing the SS4 planning grant that we have and PCTPA is working on the ATP process and those don't line up time-wise, as well as that's going to be an issue. So we need to make sure that we're coordinating both of those as much as possible because we don't want to have one not inform the other and cause issues in between the two different jurisdictions.
And we do have staff that participate on the PCTPA TAC committee,
Right.
and so we are at least hopefully we're having coverage there.
Right.
And when we have our 3x3s, we've been talking with the supervisors about making sure that that our element lines up with the county. We don't want a
Right.
bike lane that goes to nowhere.
Right.
So we've been talking about those issues too.
So we're at least 2 to 3 years out before we can really implement the bike plan or the circulation study or the general plan.
I think
basically.
probably 2, depending on, because we've already been working on the general plan now for almost a year, right?
Mhm.
So we're gathering all the data, doing all the studies, doing all that we've been working on. The difficult part with the general plan is doing the EIR and then responding to comments on the EIR. And there's no way to know how many we're going to get. If we get like 120 or 150, that's not a big deal. Loomis had like 10,000 or something. It was a crazy amount. And you have to respond to each of those. So
Yeah.
that the EIR is the most expensive part, and it's also the part that takes the longest. The studies themselves aren't that big of a deal. It's the EIR and then bringing all that stuff together to make sure that they all talk together the way that they're supposed to talk together.
If we're doing a
And-
project, though, we can still be considering pedestrian and bikes as we're doing the
100%.
road projects. It's not like we have to wait 2 years in order to think through those things if we're already doing a project and we want to
100%.
implement those
Right.
things.
Which we are.
Yes, ma'am.
I think
Bob, do you have another question?
So just a moment, please. If you're going to speak, if you could come up to the
Sorry, we're
lectern.
recording it.
Talk too much. I think the number one goal really is to get, the city of Auburn people that are already involved in your transportation planning, the Ferris Piers group, the active transportation group, and hopefully Sarah Foothills, cycling in a standard routine meeting, okay? Because these things are slow. We already had one stakeholder meeting for the active transportation plan. I think another one planned for August. So it's like every 3 months. But I think that we need to set up something that's more active with the people that are in this community and communicating with Ferris Piers, since they're going to be their program. Like I said, that's why I brought the schedule up. It's lagging. And I think there's some opportunity with the Placer County activity to take some of those actions earlier that won't interfere with the longer term vision that Ferris Piers is in charge with. Okay.
I don't think anyone would disagree with you that if we can move things forward and that they'll work with our planning, that we would try to do that. I also think that we're all in favor of working with all the different agencies and the community groups on making sure that everyone's on the same page and moving forward in the same direction and trying to get the timing to line up. It might be worth bringing back maybe a schedule of outreach, because though I think that your meeting with your community group is important. I think meeting with all the different community and groups and stakeholders is important, and giving them all access to that. So maybe figuring out that community outreach plan and making it public ahead of time, and kind of what that cadence is going to look like and how much public input and when it's going to be might be helpful for the Auburn plan. Well, I think it'll probably be a different calendar, but we'll try to make sure it aligns with what's going on. Yeah.
Because again, it's minimize all of the piece of work. We have so much data we want to incidents, accidents, and closing county, things of that nature.
Okay. All right. So we'll take that back and staff will try to make sure that we're meeting those needs. So thank you very much for that. Okay. Is there any other public comments on this item? Sorry, a little bit back and forth.
Madam Mayor, since the item was pulled off consent, I'd simply want to say, for the purposes of the record, as a reminder, that this will be funded with a $400,000 Safe Streets and Roads for All grant, in addition to a $100,000 grant match that we're using from ARPA monies.
Yes.
So that's where this funding is coming from. I just want to make it clear for the purposes of the public
Yes.
that that's where this funding is coming for this particular.
Thank you for that.
Thank
I'll move by resolution to approve the first amendment to the professional service agreement with Ferris Piers.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Don Calvillo.
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Riddell Harris.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item, which is public comment. This is a time provided so that the public may speak to the council on any item not on the agenda. Please make your comments brief as possible, not to exceed 3 minutes. The council cannot act on items not included in this agenda. These items will be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Is there any public comment? Come on up.
Good evening, City Council. Vice Mayor, Mayor. Thank you for letting me speak here tonight. My name is Patrick, and I just want to say my family moved to Auburn in 1965. There's been 3 generations of us that have been here. My grandfather started a business in downtown Auburn. My mother went to school in this very building, and I myself was born and raised here. I moved one time, and it was right down the street until I joined the Army. And I'm not just here today to just say random facts about myself. I'm here because for the last 59 years, my family has not had an issue with the Auburn Police Department until they joked about killing my dogs and the police chief tried to bully me into leaving City Hall. So I just have 3 questions for you all here tonight. First is, why does a police sergeant on the Auburn Police Department not understand how to add a note onto a property? Second is, why did a police officer say anything about killing my dog that night? Joke about killing my dog that night. And third is, why does the police chief need 6 tyrants plus himself to bully a veteran citizen who has official business, who's minding his own business up against the wall, armed with only a foam board and markers? So I want to leave you guys here with this. Stupid cops do stupid things, and I feel less safe in my own home with them around. Those pets that officer joked about killing that night on my own property in front of my own eyes, they are my family. That officer joked about killing my family. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any additional public comment?
Yes,
Councilman Holmes?
yes. Well, I'd like to thank the community and all of those who participated in the 4th of July parade. It was probably a little shorter than past years, but nevertheless, I think it was very successful. Secondly, I wanted to give a shout out to Teresa Sudi, who is the brewmaster at Crooked Lane Brewing Company. And she was selected by the Sacramento Business Journal as one of the women who mean business. And she was the only one from Auburn to select it, but there were about 10 women that were given that accolade. And Teresa was one of them. So just want to recognize that.
Congratulations to her. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay. Moving on to council business. We have the first reading of the ordinance revising section 100.75 of the Auburn Municipal Code. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. John Rogers, your fire chief. Thanks for your time this evening. I'm back with a revision of ordinance 100.71, which is the defensible space inspections request and disclosure. Just wanted to provide a brief recap of where we are and how we got here. Staff presented a defensible space inspection and education program update at the November 13th, 2023 City Council meeting, where council directed staff to return with a defensible space inspection ordinance. At the February 12th, 2024 council meeting, staff proposed an ordinance introducing section 100.71 of the Auburn Municipal Code, defensible space inspections, requests, and disclosures. The proposed ordinance required property owners in the very high fire hazard severity zone as listed on CAL FIRE's FRAP map or Fire Resource Assessment Program to obtain documentation of compliance with defensible space and vegetation management requirements no more than 1 year prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer of real property. The inspection and documentation could be obtained from either the fire department or a qualified third party. Property owners would then be required to bring their property into compliance within a reasonable amount of time and no longer than 30 days after receiving notice of non-compliance. Council requested at that meeting clarification of a qualified third party to be included within the ordinance, and that definition was added to the proposed ordinance, which was a vendor that had a City of Auburn business license and completed the inspections in accordance with the rules and regulations included within that ordinance. On February 26th, 2024, ordinance 100.71 was approved by City Council and was slated to take effect 30 days later. So at that point, our community risk reduction manager began working to implement the new ordinance, which included notifying our external stakeholders. Concerns from external stakeholders were brought forward, and they included the ordinance placing the onus of compliance on the seller, creating an undue hardship that could prevent the sale of property, not properly engaging external stakeholders, and having fuel reduction work completed during the summer months. The ordinance was placed into abeyance for 90 days so staff could gather information and revise the ordinance. So the revised ordinance in front of you this evening requires owners of real property located within the very high fire hazard severity zone as identified by the CAL FIRE FRAP map to obtain documentation of compliance with the same defensible space and vegetation management requirements no more than 6 months prior to the sale, transfer, or exchange of real property. Sellers can have either the fire department or a qualified third party complete the inspection, and the proposed ordinance does not require property owners to bring their property into compliance. However, staff is working on creating an educational materials packet to be provided to the buyers of property located within the very high fire hazard severity zones. And the hopes are that packet will be provided to both compliant and non-compliant properties. Continuing, staff met with representatives from Placer County Association of Realtors on June 17th of 2024 and reviews the proposed ordinance with them. Copies of the ordinance, associated codes, and our inspection forms were provided. And it's our intent to work with PCAR moving forward to ensure the educational materials packet is provided to buyers of all homes sold within the very high fire hazard severity zone. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. Excellent. I very much to them. So happening for the final. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sarah Salmon?
Yes. So I've had a couple of constituents ask the question of the map and whether or not there's a, I don't want to say a better way, but maybe an easier accessible way to find out if a particular property, like is there a database that someone could put in their parcel number?
So there's a couple different ways that can be done. There's a CAL FIRE link that you can enter your address. And our community risk reduction manager was working on implementing a forward-facing map onto our website as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the council? Okay. Is there any public comment? You can say something if you'd like. You don't have to.
Good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. Dean Anderson, Placer County Association of Realtors CEO. First of all, thank you so much for hearing us and allowing us to work with your city manager and your fire chief to come up with a solution that we feel really good about. We deal with fire danger on a daily basis, just with regards to fire insurance, right? I mean, it's a massive issue for us. So correcting defensible space problems on people's properties is not lost on us. That's not something that we're trying to avoid doing. I personally have spent $47,000 in 4 years clearing trees off my property. So I know what the process looks like. I know how long it can take. And so some of our major concerns from the original ordinance just had to do with timing. There's no way I could get everything done on my property in 30 days. It's taken me 4 years, nor could I have afforded it in that kind of a window either, right? And so those were some of our major concerns. Point of sale stuff typically doesn't work because the turnover of homes doesn't happen quickly enough. It would take 35 years. If every single property in that area sold just one time, it would take 35 years to sell them all. And so there's just a lot of reasons why they don't work. And when there's an issue as important as fire safety, everybody needs to be involved, right? Everybody needs to share in that process and so that it's equitable. So really appreciate you guys putting the original ordinance in abeyance and allowing us to sit down with your staff and coming up with a workable solution that our folks are really, really happy with. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate your working along with our staff so that we could come up with a workable solution. And it was never this council's intent to cause the havoc that it did. I think it was just something that we just didn't see. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I'm grateful to staff and PCAR for sitting down and working it out so that we can have a workable document that will, best serve our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
I just want to say thank you for coming forward too. Many times people don't come forward and then it passes and then it's a big problem. So we really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for working so well with everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'd like to just thank our city manager and our city attorney and city clerk for their efforts in helping move this forward too as well.
Okay. There's no other public comment, then I'll bring it back. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we conduct the first reading of an ordinance by title only, revising section 100.71 of chapter 100 of title 9 of the Auburn Municipal Code, requiring defensible space inspections and disclosures prior to the sale, exchange, or transfer of real property within very high fire hazard severity zones.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Down Calvillo,
Aye.
Amara.
Yes.
Holmes,
Aye.
Sarah Sammons.
Aye.
Mayor Vidal Harris.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Before we move on to the city manager's report, I just wanted to let everyone know that our next meeting on July 22nd will be canceled. So there won't be a meeting on July 22nd. And then we'll see everyone on August 12th, I believe it is. Does that mean? Okay. City manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple things. One of our engines, fire engines, deployed with Captain Murphy and his crew to the Thompson incident on July 3rd. And that was subsequently reassigned to the Lake incident on Santa Barbara on July 6th. The crews reported they're doing well, and the city here were covered. We have no issues with fire coverage here. We had no major fires in Auburn during the 4th of July. Fire department participated in various events during that, including Chief Rogers flipping pancakes at the annual Hook and Ladder Pancake Breakfast. And then obviously we supported the fireworks event itself, which seemed to be pretty successful despite the heat. I will agree with Councilmember Holmes that I think that the parade there were less floats in that than last year. But that was a good one. Anybody looking for help from the heat should call 211. That's the Placer County's 211 number. And then the county will be able to direct them to cooling centers if needed. County really wants us to make sure that we're putting that out. So we posted that a couple times on social media, and we'll continue to do that through the heat issue. On the 16th of July, 2 of our police officers will be awarded their MAD awards, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, for the work addressing DUIs, with each well over 25 DUI arrests in a year. And then the police and fire chiefs met with Sierra College leadership this morning, actually, to discuss regional public safety training center that was proposed to be built in Roseville near the Placer One location. That's a public safety training center that would provide contemporary training opportunities for our regional public safety. Last, a couple more things about the heat. We've had some operational changes because of the high heat to ensure our employee safety. So our public works staff are starting earlier to avoid the direct heat and prevent heat exhaustion. That schedule is going to continue for the next few weeks, or as long as the heat continues on. The heat's been wreaking havoc on some of our infrastructure stuff too. So we've had a couple of street stoplight controllers just basically fail because of the heat. And so we've been working on those to get those addressed as quickly as we can. So just residents driving around, be extra alert. If you see the red flashing light, treat the red flashing light as a stop sign. Don't try to go through and don't try to cut somebody off. And that's it. I can answer questions. The other thing I wanted to let council know too is I'm going to start printing these out in a report and hand them out to council and put them on the back, because I have more to talk about, but I don't want to take like a half hour to do this. So I'm going to switch over and start printing and I'll just kind of hit the highlights.
Great.
We'll also include that on the website as well.
Sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I do too.
Great. Council reports? Council, do you have anything?
I do.
Okay.
Couple things.
Councilwoman
First, I
Bouncy.
wanted just to announce that we do have a local that is going to the Olympics in 2024. Isaiah Pinero, he's a Placer High School graduate. He's actually going to represent Puerto Rico as he plays on their national team in basketball. So we will be cheering for him in the 2024 Olympics there, local Placer High School graduate. So congratulations to him. I did want to just report a couple things. I did attend a study mission last week in Denver, Colorado with SACOG. It was very informational. We talked about infill housing and multifamily housing and transportation, how they work together there, and what the mayor of Denver has been able to achieve in Denver, which is about 2.7 million people. One thing I will say about Denver is that Denver is a city and county together. So when you have a strong mayor, he controls the city and the county and the purse strings. So he gets a lot done because he is strong mayor, but very interesting talking about the various forms of housing and the different restrictions. And they don't have an Environmental Quality Act, so they're just subject to NEPA. So it's just very interesting. So I enjoyed that particular trip, learned a lot. Also, the Endurance Capital World Committee was very busy with Western states and is gearing up for Tevis Cup, which is coming up on the 20th of July. So we've got that. And I think at our August meeting, we'll be recommending the appointment of 4 new committee members to fill vacancies that we've had. So, and I think that's all that I have to report. We have Pioneer next week. So.
Okay. Councilwoman Mara, you have anything?
Yeah. Well, I could go way back, but I just want to remind everybody the Downtown Business Association is alive and well. We're very active. If you've been to town on Friday nights, they have music is back. So please come support them, even if it's for a few minutes. They're great. The people that perform there are really excellent. Just bring your chair, sit down, enjoy yourself for a few minutes. It's nice and shady. They're also, they're going to have market too on the square. So they have some market little booths there too. So be sure to come. That'll be every Friday through September. And beautification, they talked about pressure washing the downtown. I think it needs it. They have a beautification committee. I also walked with a gentleman on that committee, and we walked on High Street. And I don't know if anybody has noticed, but there is one tree that is has been planted, and it has a bag. So it's not. So that's how it's watered. They water it in a bag. I don't know what you call that, the proper name, but. Bag watering. So you don't have to dig and have a full aquatic system. And so he and I are going to we walk down the street, and if we can put about 10, we can get some trees and kind of start a very inexpensive tree canopy there before we really do our full revitalization of that area. So
Are we making sure we're checking with the city about what trees are planted and things? We would just want, we've had issues in the past of planting the wrong trees and then having to cut them.
No,
down
this
later.
is with landscapers and
Okay,
yeah, we know, we kind of.
Okay, just
We're not
making
just
sure.
randomly.
Some people do.
Anyway, but that was exciting. So we're going in on that. And then there, don't forget that the, let's see, cruise night, of course, you guys, and cruise night's a big deal. You guys have been to that. So anyway, that's the DBA. Then there's the traffic was a long time ago. And we had a special traffic committee meeting. And if you've been to the airport, there's some stop signs there that were added to help calm some of the traffic that has been speeding down the roads there. And so that was a productive meeting and made some of the businesses there are very happy that we did that. So thank you, other members of the traffic committee. And the sustainability is meeting, and they met. We're going to meet again next week. But basically, the educational component on K-High is happening. So be sure to tune in. I think that is like the third Friday at 3:30. And there's also, anyway, just update on a lot of the activities that they're doing, but nothing that's particularly new with them. And we're going to meet next week. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Councilman Holmes, do you have anything?
Well, just, I'm working with the Placer County Air Pollution Control District to try to get more EV charging stations in the city, particularly in Old Town. So that's also I wanted to mention that, but then I forgot what I was going to mention. So anyway,
Next time.
Councilman Sierra Sammons?
Could have used an extra minute there, Councilman Holmes. Well, I know our Greater Auburn Area Fire Safe Council has been extremely busy. Past few meetings, they've got a new chairperson, Mr. Tim, and I can't remember his name. So Tim, if you're watching, I am so sorry. But they are really looking forward to revitalizing their council. There's been some shifts back and forth, a lot of rotation. And so I think they've got a more stable council. So they really want to do a lot more work within the community. I know they were really busy putting up signs. I posted a sign and it kept falling down on the corner of Cherry and Borland. But they really wanted to get the word out about fire safety. The fact that, we have a fireworks ban and, like Sean said, we didn't have any major fires in Auburn. And so I think that really does take a role in that. So kudos to that council. And we are meeting next week. And our economic development team has been working with looking at the new logo, trying to figure out best ways to market that without spending, exorbitant amount of money, because quite frankly, the council, we don't have it and neither does the committee. But it is something that really we are excited about. We've got members that are really looking forward to highlighting the new logo on social media. I think we've got some great things going on. We've got like Leadership Auburn and their trail. So hopefully maybe we can implement something with those two projects. And then the Chamber Government Affairs, we had to skip one of our meetings due to Jackie Weston's untimely passing. So picking up pieces, a lot of work was put into a very successful 4th of July celebration, not just in town with the parade, but also at Railhead Park. And I think that all of Auburn, plus all of our visitors that came in, were very pleased to see that for one day, it was just about celebrating our country, celebrating our families, and celebrating in the heat together. So that was a positive day. And that's it for now.
Okay. Couple things that I got to attend as mayor. The Humane Society's used bookstore was relocated and had a grand opening over by the DMV. So if you're looking for some used books or DVDs, or they're a great group, and I got to meet their enforcement officer who goes out and reminds people if they're not taking care of their animals as they should. And he's a retired police officer, and he's really great too. So if you get an opportunity, go head out there and support them. I was able to go to Fast Fridays and sang the national anthem there. So that was really fun. I hadn't been to Fast Fridays in a while. So if you haven't been to Fast Fridays, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of loud, but it's a good time, and my kids had a blast. So every Friday from now, I think until it's like September. So that's going on. The Western States was a great event as normal. We went to the barbecue for the international runners. We went to Mile 99. We were at the finish line. Tons of people came out. I got to meet all kinds of folks I hadn't met before, and it was a great time for everybody. And the golden hour was really fun to be out there with everyone, even though we were all really hot. So, and the awards there, it was great being part of the award ceremony this time too. To update everyone on the fair, we did have a meeting with the head of the fairs, our committee that we formed. And then I also had the opportunity to attend the State of the Fair meeting, and then also the Fair Town Hall, along with several other council members. And there is communication that's trying to happen. We are trying to work together with the fair to get some movement toward in a direction that we can all get together and move forward and kind of move past these issues that have been happening. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we are working on the situation and trying to engage with the fair so that way we can have a more positive relationship with them. So we are working on that. And that's all that I had. Is there anything else before we adjourn? Okay, with that, this meeting's adjourned. Be right back. Yes.